When you owe people money, it doesn't matter if you're an individual or a company or you're working on behalf of a company. None of it actually matters. When you owe money, you have a period of time with which to pay it back. If you get a mortgage, some people get 30 years, a 30-year mortgage. You have 30 years to pay back the money, but if you don't have all the money at the end of the term, you can do something called a refinance, and just borrow money again, pushing the term out even further. For crying out loud, Meatloaf, we do it with our national debt. We just push it out as far as we can go. Then we refinance it. And no one ever focuses on interest rates, which you should, because interest rates on a few trillion is not nothing. But what do you do when you need money now and you can't borrow anymore? You got to look around your house and say, oh, can I sell that? What about that? How much is that worth? John Fisher, the owner of the Aths, who's moving from Oakland to Sacramento to Las Vegas, while he is a billionaire, so you say, while his family started the Gap, so you say, while he's got plenty of shares of the Gap, so you say, well, he's got a huge foundation and very generous and does a whole bunch of things and investments and is just rich beyond any of our wildest dreams. Okay. Remember what we talked about with the Bus family? Sometimes you need cash. Well, John Fisher needs cash to build his stadium in Las Vegas. So he said, what can I sell? What's worth any money? Anybody want a little Picasso? Yeah, that's good for 80 million. Not quite enough. Because you see, all the talk in Vegas about public money, they only got $380 million. It's nothing. That ballpark is going to cost $1.7 billion at least. It's expensive to build in Vegas. Just ask Bugsy Siegel. It can cost you your life, though the Flamingo was really cool. So John Fisher said, I got to sell something else I own. How about the San Jose Earthquakes? They're an MLS team. I got an expansion. I spent $20 million on them. The team's worth $600 million. I'll have to pay capital gains tax, but I'm going to roll it over. I'm going to do great tax planning with great accountants named Ben Affleck, and I'm going to figure out how to do it. But man, I got to raise capital. So John Fisher has confirmed that he's putting his MLS club on the market. Now, here's what's funny. He's hired an investment bank to do it, to facilitate the sale. But you're going to have to pay them, John. I have a way better suggestion. Why don't you come on a show like a Nothing Personal or any other show, or go on SportsCenter, or go on DraftKings Network, or go on social media, raise your hand and say, I'm sure that the San Jose Earthquakes are for sale. Please, my number is 631-377-4869. Give me a call. We'll talk. We'll have some coffee. Instead, you hired an investment bank, what, to put the documents together, to put the due diligence room together, to do some projections for the buyer? Let the buyer do his own projections, or her, or their. You're using that investment bank to identify buyers of a sports team? Or are you trying to use that investment bank maybe to get you connections in the Middle East? You don't need that. They'll come to you. All you got to do is publicize your info. Or someone may just walk into a Gap store and say, is Farley or Spade there? Because, look, those pair of pants aren't folded. Don Garber had no choice but to give a quote, and it was a special one. On behalf of Major League Soccer, I want to thank the Fisher family for their long-standing commitment to the Earthquakes and the San Jose community. Under their leadership, the club invested in world-class facilities like PayPal Park, built a highly respected youth academy, and helped grow the game in one of the nation's most dynamic markets. Hallelujah. And now he's off to Vegas, where dreams come true. And what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. John Fisher's making the right move. Absolutely the right move here. Why? When you need money, what exact choice do you have but to do a transaction like this? And the problem that's going on in Vegas right now, currently, is that they don't really know what the price of the ballpark is. Have you seen anything in writing about a GMP, a guaranteed maximum price? Have you seen anything that confirms cost of material? What you are reading about is a bunch of PR greatness, like a groundbreaking, which is solely for PR. That's it. You're not actually doing anything at groundbreaking, but taking photos with politicians and other stakeholders where you can say that all is going well. Remember that John Fisher has been trying to figure out how to get partners into the AFs at a $2 billion valuation. John Fisher, as you recall, did a deal with Aramark, the concessionaire, where people mistakenly said, oh, that makes perfect sense. They're investing in the team. And I told you that, while landmark as it may sound, what Aramark is doing is what is commonly done, where you are raising money to help in the construction cost. You are getting a concessionaire to build out the concessions. And the thing with Vegas and building stuff is that it's really hard to control the costs. In the last 6 months, the building has already gone up $250 million, and none of it's coming from the public. And the only way to build a building with a 31-month construction timeline is you're going to have some overtime and some extra shifts. You're going to have to do things somewhat in a sloppy way, which is going to cost you going forward. One of the ways that Marlins Park was on time and on budget is we were down to the final detail, down to where every outlet would be. Every chair was picked out, every carpet. We knew exactly how much steel we needed when we did the deal to procure the steel. We knew exactly the roof. We had everything done. We had subcontractors who had binding agreements to provide us with building materials that we needed. The reason why you have to do all that is even then, the likelihood of bringing that building in on time and on budget is still teensy-tiny because things happen. Whether it's owners deciding during the construction they want better areas and better amenities for themselves or others, whether there are provisions in your deals with subs where something happens that actually triggers one of the provisions that allows for a repricing. Can you imagine for 1 second if you're a sub and you get your items from overseas and you're subject to possible tariff issues that you're not going to put in your deal, that you've got some sort of wiggle room that any tariffs would be passed on to the team or shared 50-50 with the builder? There's all sorts of different provisions right behind me on the bookcase, which is not falling apart. If you're watching this on the Nothing Personal with David Samson YouTube channel, thank you. And I love your concern, but the shelves behind me, that's a good look for them. Now, they didn't come that way, of course, but what's on them is not altogether that heavy. It just looks that way. I don't know why I was just mentioning the shelves, Coca. I have no idea why that was even in my head. It's been that kind of show. It's a good thing you're coming for the second hour, I'll tell you that. John Fisher will get the San Jose Earthquake sold. He will get them sold at a number close to the $600 million valuation. He will take the net proceeds and he will allocate them to the stadium using that cash as collateral to borrow as much money as he possibly can. But that man is more exposed than a ne'er-do-well in a trench coat at a park. It is a tough position to be in.